Okay, there's a subtle, steady shift in the air today. An invitation to harness the strength and the discipline needed to turn our dreams into something real. So we will be feeling this quiet pull to take things to the next level, to finalize the decision, to lay the groundwork for our future successes. There's a deep sense of responsibility and maturity that comes with every action we take right now. However, with the 29th degree energy at play, and we'll talk more about that, so stick around, but with the 29th degree energy, the Anaretic degree of the zodiac, we may feel moments of urgency, a desire to move forward without hesitation. The choices we make today will build the foundation for tomorrow's growth. And whatever we choose today, it will have lasting impact. So it's important to stay focused, to trust the process, to move with clarity, and take our next steps with confidence. So join me as we embark on a journey of self-discovery. We'll gain an understanding of how to embrace this energy, and by the end of our time together, it's my hope that you now have the tools, the insight to go forward with confidence, with clarity, with love. So hi, I'm Tilly. This is Tarot with Tilly. Thank you for being here. Thank you truly. Thank you for all the positive, loving support you send me each and every day. I do send that right back to you. Welcome to your daily focus, May the 20th, 2025. So today we have the energy of the 20. And the 20 is turning points, forks in the road. The 20 says we need to start making decisions about where we want to go, what we want to step into, and what the next steps will look like. What environments will we put ourselves into? What relationships will we draw closer to us? What will we do professionally in our spare time? How will we treat ourselves? So there's decisions to be made. There are forks in the road right now, and we need to figure out what path we want to walk. 2 plus 0 is a 2 energy, and the 2 energy is about sitting in quiet contemplation, going within, and discovering the magic that is within you. Okay, your talents, your abilities, the unique self. You're one of a kind. And you do have magic within you, magic to bring out and utilize to move yourself forward. Yes, under a 2 energy, there's magic all around us. But the magic begins with you and you discovering your magic. If we look at the daily numerology, it would be a 5 plus a 2 plus a 9, and that gives us a 16. I can totally understand a 16 energy today. The 16 energy is about awakenings. It's about making a decision at that fork in the road. And if we don't make the decision will be made for us. One plus 6 is a 7, and that is about bringing in harmony, love, balance within our environments and within our relationships. Now the sun is in Taurus, although by about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the sun will then move into Gemini. And our moon begins the day in Aquarius, but by about 8:30 a.m., the moon will move into Pisces. So that's enough shifting of the energies for us for one day, right? But guess what? We have a sextile happening between the sun and Saturn today as well. Now, this morning, prior to the moon moving into Pisces, okay, the moon will also be a part of this energy between the sun and Saturn. It'll square the sun, and I believe it trines, no, it's sextile Saturn. And they'll all be sitting at 29 degrees. And the 29th degree of any sign holds a stronger energy. It's considered to be the Anaretic degree of the zodiac. And you say, so what does that mean, Telly? And I was hoping you'd ask because I went down that rabbit hole. Yep, down that rabbit hole I went. It was something that should have taken me maybe an hour of meditating, looking at the charts, understanding what was going on. I think I emerged like 3.5 hours later. So, okay, so this applies for all of us, but more so if we're up early this morning or you're in a different time zone. Remember, I'm Eastern Standard Time, so it's before 8:30 a.m. So I would say maybe like 6 a.m. to we'll really be feeling this energy if we're up, if depending on your time zone. Okay, maybe you're 3 hours ahead, maybe you're 3 hours behind, somewhere in between. But if you're up early this morning, you will kind of get almost prepped for the day in some way, okay? It wouldn't surprise me if when we awoke, we were filled with emotion about our freedom, our independence, what the future might hold for us. And we may feel like it's time to step up and embrace something new. But we'll also have some inner conflict with our emotions going on, some tension within us. We want to break free, yes, but we also want the stability, okay? And it'll affect us all day. This kind of energy doesn't go away, but in the morning with the moon involved, it has a lot to do with our emotion and our feelings towards who we are, where we're going, what we're trying to decide on. Okay, so right now, okay, all I want to say, especially if it's in the morning, is we shouldn't feel pressure to make any decisions right away. And that, I'm hoping, as I talk, will bring in some clarity to you on what I mean, okay? Because for the rest of the day, we still have the Saturn-Sun sextile. Now, the sun is the sun is in Taurus, okay? And that allows us to be grounded, reliable. We focus more on the practical. It's about bringing things into the physical world by creating, inventing, building, growing, creating something that stands the test of time. Okay, Taurus wants stability, it wants security, and it definitely wants pleasure as well. And under the sun's influence, we're encouraged to embrace these qualities in a way that's sustainable, that in a way that it will be long-term. Okay, now we have Saturn in Pisces. And that brings in this spiritual, intuitive, imaginative touch to the whole energy. Okay, Saturn's the planet of discipline, structure, responsibility. And it's in Pisces, so it's about structuring our dreams, our visions, and spiritual practices. Okay, Saturn in Pisces teaches us that real, lasting success, it often requires us to surrender our need for control and trust in the flow of the universe, the flow of our life, while still showing up, while still working diligently to manifest our goals. So when these two energies form a sextile, they're working together kind of seamlessly. They're bringing in practicality and they're bringing in structure to our dreams. So this is a time for turning dreams into reality with both your heart and discipline. I mean, it is strong. Now, here's the kicker, okay? Both of these planets sit at 29 degrees, which adds an extra layer of energy into the Anaretic degree of the zodiac. The sun in Taurus at 29 degrees is about getting the most out of Taurus's lessons, okay? So it's about how have we grown when it comes to our patience, when it comes to our persistence, when it comes to material stability. And the sun then approaches the final degree. And that can bring a sense of urgency or pressure. It might feel like, we just got to give it that final push to get it done. Or when we begin to feel like we've reached the edge of what is possible within that energy, pushing us into new territory. And the moon will be at 29 degrees early in the morning before it shifts into Pisces. So they all set at this same point in the sky, 29 degrees. So with the 29th degree, we could be overthinking. We could be second guessing. We're going back and forth before trying to make a decision. There's going to be a tendency to stress, okay? And we want to deliberate it. We want to think it through. We want to think about what's best. But only too suddenly, we're going to take an action impulsively. And sometimes that is not going to serve us in the long term. I think I'm making it muddier by talking about it. The sun moves in the late afternoon too, okay? From Taurus into Gemini. Okay, when we have like the Pisces moon and the Taurus sun, we want to slow down. Okay, and our action plans may also lose. Well, we'll lose ourselves in our action plans because we'll overthink it and we'll second guess it. And we'll come up with all kinds of different ideas and which ones are practical and which ones can I do. And then just as we kind of figure it all out and we have kind of an idea in our head, the sun moves into Gemini, right? So happy birthday to you Geminis. And we'll talk more about the sun going into Gemini tomorrow because it'll be the first full day. But, so the first part of the day, we need to ground our thoughts. We need to focus on our goals. We need to take practical steps on any projects we've been working on. If we've been thinking about something that does need that steady, grounded approach, this is an absolute wonderful time to move forward because you know that you need the structure and discipline. It's already probably worked into the plan. But as the sun moves into Gemini, we need to allow ourselves to shift focus and shift the focus towards curiosity and exploration of our mind. So it's asking us now, the energy is starting to ask us to let our imagination soar and let our inner child out to play. And so we have to stay extremely mindful to urges to overextend ourselves because when we feel tempted to jump into something new or we get distracted in some way, we do need to take a moment to pause and reflect. And it's not going to be as easy once the sun moves into Gemini. So take a moment to pause, to reflect, okay? It's okay to explore new possibilities, absolutely. But balance that with discipline, okay? Set clear priorities, okay? And focus on one step at the time rather than spreading yourself too thin because, we can become so spontaneous and it'll be extremely easy under this energy for us to overthink something. So come up with a practical action plan or maybe even a couple in mind, okay? But what will happen to most people on the planet is then they will spontaneously jump into an entirely new direction that doesn't serve them. Okay. And so we have to be mindful to think it through. Okay. A couple of weeks back, I was with a client and we were looking at the astrology and her progressed moon was at the 29th degree going into Sagittarius, the 9th house, or her 9th house. I don't think it was Sagittarius. I think it was the 9th house. 9th house. Okay, so that's all about education, one of the things. And she was in school and she wasn't happy about school and she was trying to look at, maybe switching something around. She was in college. So she was looking at, exploring new avenues or dropping a few things and picking up something different. And, it just wasn't working for her or she was really struggling through it. Anyways, at the 29th degree, okay, so, and I told her you might feel like quitting school. You might just snap and just say, you know what, I'm going to go and just work my passion, dream, my job, and, I'm going to get a good job, and I'm just going to have fun doing that, and the heck with this education. And she did. She ended up not taking my advice. She ended up quitting, and she was just miserable after about 6 months, and she eventually quit the job and went back to school, and she's doing great now. But that's how quick something can happen, even when you're warned, okay? It's like you're saving for this really big, beautiful trip. that you want to go on, and it's going to be the trip of a lifetime. And so, every paycheck you're moving a little bit of money, and if you can save a little bit on, you plan on spending, $100 on groceries, you only spend 90, that $10 now goes into the big trip pot. Okay. And under this energy, you're sitting there and you're scrolling through one of the shopping things out there. There's enough of them. And you see this luxury set of luggage. And you start looking at it, and it's got the buzzers and the bells and the whistles and everything to go with it, and it looks beautiful, and it's your colors, and oh my gosh. And you say, oh my gosh, I so deserve to have that luggage to go on my big adventure, my big trip. And so you buy it. And then that luggage comes in about 2 weeks later, and you look at it, and you start to think, I could have used the suitcase in the attic. There's nothing wrong with the suitcase in the attic, and I would have been closer to going on that trip. Now I've set myself back. So what this energy does is it creates a sense of urgency, this strong desire to finalize things. Okay, and that can lead to some very impulsive actions that we will regret later. This is the kind of energy where the gossip, you're sitting there and you're going, they did what? They just walked out. Well, what are they going to do? Well, I guess they said they knew somebody. They're going to contact them and everything was going to be great. And they're moving. I can't believe it. And they just made all these life decisions on an impulse. Okay, and that impulse will be very strong on a day like today. So we have to take the practical decisions that we made, and we began to think about the new ideas and connections and the opportunities that are opening up. That was all more in the morning, right? But in the afternoon now, it makes... we do want to think more about new ideas. We want to look at what connections we can make or opportunities we can step into. I mean, this is a great time to network yourself, gathering new information, tweaking your plans a little for a fresh perspective. This is a time to manifest your dreams into reality, but you have to take that breath. You have to take that moment to think if it does align with your path going forward, or is this off the wall zany? It's a time to finalize our projects. It's a time to put final touches on things, to set some long-term goals, to commit to our dreams. And yes, your dreams can be off the wall. They can be abstract. They could be different than anybody else has ever thought. That's okay. This energy supports that. But it also supports structuring your dreams into actionable steps. Okay, so embrace your purpose with discipline. It is a great energy to even recommit to that dream, that goal, that desire. If you threw in the towel, but you're kind of regretting it now, this is the time to take that towel back and say, I'm going after it. And sit down and give yourself the time, the energy, because you will be able to take that steady, disciplined action. If and be mindful of you, okay? Your time, your energy, your health, your balance. Okay, don't sacrifice yourself. Don't sacrifice rest and self-care. Take breaks. Okay, overworking it, overdoing it, will all happen under this energy. It's easy to get caught up in the work and to forget to take time for ourselves, to do things that make us happy, to change the environment or change the people up, or, take a break, for goodness sakes. We may overthink under this energy. We may self-doubt ourselves, right? Anxieties, fear, the fear of failure may creep in. And these fears are going to seem like obstacles, like we cannot go forward, even though the majority of it is really, 90% of that is in your mind, that anxiety and that fear and that lack of confidence or that self-doubt that maybe you don't have what it takes. Okay? This is a time to love yourself, to know that you are worthy, to know that you are deserving. Okay, let's go to the cards. So yeah, it will be a day when the energies shift, and then they shift, and then they shift, and then they shift. Underlying energy for today is the Magician. Ask and you shall receive. Like I said, your dreams can be out in left field. They can be very untraditional. They could be something that's never even been heard of before, or something that's so out of character for you. And that's okay, because it's your dream, it's your passion, it's your desire. And the magician is here to say, what is it you want? I will send it up. And then it will come back and be tangible. We have to do the work. Yes. We have to show up and be present for it. Yes. We have to give it our time, our energy, our focus. Absolutely. But they're listening. So send those intentions up of what you truly want to build, what you want to create, what you want to transform in your world. The magician is here to say it can be done. It can be yours. King of Cups. Foundations. Making sure that we have a strong foundation that will withstand any storm. The abundance is coming in with this card. Are we prepared to accept it, to embrace it, to bring it in and work with it, to grow it bigger, to grow it better? Or do we have problems in certain areas of our world? Maybe it's money, maybe it's job and career, maybe it is self-doubt, maybe it's a lack of courage, maybe your health isn't all it should be. Maybe your relationship is a little rocky right now. Where does your energy need to be in order to have a very strong foundation so that you can withstand any obstacle, any storm that comes your way? Because with it also comes the abundance, the joy, the prosperity, the love, the happiness that you are also wishing into your life. And I hate using wishing in because people think that you're making a wish, but we did have the magician here. So it is about making a wish. But it's also showing up and doing the work after we've made the wish. You know, it's not like when we were little, when we put the tooth under the pillow and then we could go to sleep. And then in the morning we looked, our tooth was gone, but the prize was there. We have the magic within us. We have to utilize our magic, to allow our inner child to come out and play. Allow us to get a little curious of what could become. The Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands. Now, she doesn't want everything to be picture perfect, the Queen of Wands. She wants to, yes, research maybe. Talk about it, communicate about it, gain knowledge about it. Whatever that wish, that passion, that desire is. But she doesn't wait for everything to be rock solid hard before she starts. All she needs is an outline. Because she knows 5 steps down, the picture's going to change anyways on what we're doing and how we're doing it and how fast or how slow things are moving. Who's involved, who isn't involved, what kind of environment we're in. All those things will change. So all we really have to worry about is today's step, and tomorrow's step maybe a little bit more. What are the steps we're going to take? Because once she gets her first couple of steps in, her enthusiasm alone draws everything to her that she needs in order to be successful. And that is, it doesn't matter if you need a better environment or better people or a better mindset. Because what you need will arrive for you once you make that commitment, once you start to take those steps, once you start to follow your action plan. And then we have the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands tells us that we're not going to hurry. We're not going to rush in making these decisions, but we need to start thinking about them. We need to start weighing them out. What will work in my life? What won't work in my life? What could I add? What could I take away? What could I change? What could I tweak? What if I walk this path? Eventually we'll move over to the second wand and we'll re-ask these questions in a different way and come up with different answers. And then we will look out and see how it starts to materialize, how it starts to become tangible, how it can start becoming real. Eventually we'll move over to the third wand, and that's when we make the decisions on how to move forward. So in no way are we rushing this energy, but we are getting clarity and more of a concise clarity on where we are going is what I'm hearing. Concise clarity. So we could have had some gray area clarity where I want to move in this general direction, just don't know how it's coming about, to I know what steps to take now. I know how to get the party started. Okay. Trust your own understanding. 32 energy, which is a 5, which is about creating happiness, joy, giggles, and laughter in the present moment. We are not, yesterday is gone. Tomorrow we are not promised. We have this moment in time. What are we doing with this moment in time? That's all we really need to focus on. And trust in your own understanding comes in to talk a little bit more about that to us. So, the information you're receiving is reliable and accurate. Look deeply into the situation before making any commitments. You have the foresight and the ability to discern that there is more than meets the eye. Everything will be revealed at the appropriate time. So don't feel the need to prove yourself. Be patient and allow things to unfold as they will. Trust in your own observations and knowledge. They hold your truth. Okay, so once again, we're being told not to rush. Okay, the worst thing that we can do for ourselves today is be very spontaneous in our actions. A little bit of spontaneity, absolutely, but we do want to think about that wonderful step that we are taking, and does it align with, it's the questions of 2025. Okay, what matters most to me? What do I want to create? What do I want to expand? Where do I want to create joy and happiness? Prosperity and abundance, great health, whatever it might be for you. Okay, what matters most to me? Where am I going to put my time, my energy, my resources to grow that part of my life into something better, something stronger, something sustainable over the test of time? But yeah, today's the day you'll hear over the next couple of weeks, different things that people did under this kind of energy. Because we have 3 planets all at 29 degrees moving. All except for Saturn actually moves as well. So, because the sun was at 29, but then it moves into Gemini. The moon is at 29, but it moves into Pisces. Saturn, I think it's going to be... I think it's like February of 2026 when it finally moves into Aries for the final time. I think the end of May sometime. The 25th maybe of May. Saturn will move in, but, then I think it's... Oh gosh, I'm getting my dates mixed up. There's a retrograde. September 1st stands out to me for some reason, or the first week of September. Something happens again with the move between Aries, and so I'll have to jump down that rabbit hole on a different day for you. Okay, our animal card is, look at this, the owl comes out, wisdom. It really is connecting with our wisdom today. Yes, we want to be led by our hearts, but we want our minds to be in unison with the conversation, with the dance of us going forward on our path. So we have second sight, magic. Secrets, truth, and wisdom. A wise old owl lived in an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why can't we all be like that wise old bird? Owl has arrived in our reading, and it symbolizes the wisdom that you have, which spans your earthly years. Those who you have come in contact with may be drawn to you for sage advice, your second sight, your keen ability to keep secrets. You can sense truth and untruth in people and in situations. Though you don't always follow through on your gut instincts, an owl tells you you're interpreting the signs correctly. Believe in your psychic abilities. Owl can also mean that there is someone keeping a secret from you or being untruthful. And this isn't you being overly sensitive. Follow through on the feelings that you have with your second sight. For if you don't, you may indeed regret it later on. And I think that's also a warning of don't be too spontaneous to just jump into something. Okay, to really think it through. What is your gut telling you? What is your intuition telling you? What is your heart telling you? What is your wisdom telling you? Is it something that matters to you? Is it in alignment with the things that matter to you most? Your passions, your dreams, your desires, your goals, your relationships, whatever it may be. Okay, this is a very subtle energy. It's also a very powerful energy. So we have to actually move it into the consciousness in order to really reap the rewards of being aware of all that we're being shown on a day like today. And until we meet again, remember, I do love you.